Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So this is a continuation of the previous video. You know, on the previous video I showed us how to cut long pencil skirts with that will be having pleats at the back. This is the front panel. I've cut the lining, and this is the back panel, and this is where our pleat will fall from, will be. You know, in the previous video I showed us how to cut it. So please, if you are yet to watch that video, to put the link on the description box for you, so you can go ahead, click on the link and watch on how I cut the skirt. On this video I'll be showing us how to sew the skirt, how to join your lining, your darts, get your darts, fix your zip, and so on and so forth. So that's that. You can see this is the lining for the front panel, and this is also the lining for the back panel. I cut the lining exactly how I cut the fabric. After cutting my fabric, I just placed it on the lining and then went ahead to cut. You can see the back panel, and I also cut I also cut the lining the same way I cut the back, the fabric. The only difference is, okay, let me use the front panel to show you what I want to explain. You see, I cut exactly how the fabric is, so that was how I cut the lining. The only difference is that when you come towards the end, the fabric is a little bit longer than the lining. You can see it starts here where I have my actual measurements. This is because, you know, I explained earlier that in the previous video on when I was cutting it, that I'm going to use this extra inch here, that's 1.5 inch, to fold, that's to join the lining. So after sewing, I'll have something like this. This one will be inside with the lining. Don't worry, I'm going to show us how it's going to look like. Take note. Please take note. This is the right side of the fabric, and this is the right side of the lining. So the right side of the fabric will be facing the right side of the lining, and then like this. Then what you have here is the wrong side of the fabric and the wrong side of the lining. Then you now go ahead and sew. Like I said earlier, you see, sew here. So that means we'll be sewing on the wrong side of the lining. You can see where our chalk is. So that shows that we are sewing on the wrong side of our lining, of the fabric. I mean, straight like this. And I also do the same for the back panel. The end, I'm going to sew it to, right, the right side of the lining to the right side of the fabric, and I also do the same. So you see, I've sewed here. So the way it is now, make it like this. I'll sew here and sew here. So as you can see, this is the front panel. You know, I showed us earlier while sewing how I sewed it. After joining the two sides, as I showed you earlier, I hope you saw it. Then you went ahead and, you know, sew, sew here straight. I'll now go ahead and you see. You see what I meant earlier? You see it's the way it's looking. Then before I continue, I'll go ahead and give it a good press, a very good press, to smoothen out all those rough edges. I'm going to give it a good press. So that's that. Then for the back panel, I want to show you something. You know, this is how the back panel looks like. The first thing we will do is we'll sew here around, as in we'll sew here. That's the edge. We'll sew it. Okay. Before I continue, let me sew the edge, then show you what next to do. I'll sew the edge, then I'll show you what. So I finished sewing it. If you notice, this is the back panel. Okay, if you notice, the back panel is not as straight as that's the end of the skirt. It's not like as straight as the front panel. This is because mostly in my skirt, I love curving the back. That's the back panel. It should somehow like a little bit of curve, not like straight like the front panel. But it all depends on what you want. You can decide to, you know, make it straight. It's still the same thing. It all depends on your choice, whether to cut it like a little bit curve, or you make it as straight as the front one, whichever way. So I just wanted to explain that. I finished sewing here. That's for the back panel. I finished sewing it. You can see I finished sewing it. So what I will do is go ahead to as in that 1.5 inch, you see, that I told you of. So I will go ahead and put it inside before I continue. I'm trying to adjust it so that it will be okay. So I've gone ahead to use office pin to like hold it. Since it's not straight, if I try to do it, is like it will be somehow an issue. So I went to use office pin. So what I'll do is to go ahead and press. Is to go ahead and press it to give it a nice look. So let me go and press. So I've gone ahead to press it to make it look better than how it was previously. You can see it. So let me show you what next to do. So what I will do now is, you see the way it's looking. So take note that the first thing you do is to sew the edge. So after sewing the edge, you fold it. That's the 1.5 inch that we added while cutting, for as in to fold that we used to fold the fabric. So after folding it, so what you do, go ahead and do it. You see the way you sew straight. Make sure that when sewing, that the lining and the fabric, you try to arrange them properly. You sew straight. Then continue from here. You are not going to sew here. Let me go over it again. After joining the end of the fabric to the lining, and after folding your 1.5 inch you added while cutting, you go ahead and sew straight, you stop here. You are not going to sew here. No, you are not going to sew here now. What you do is, then you continue from here. You continue from here. You sew straight. Make sure that it's, you know, you try and arrange. You sew straight. After sewing here, sew straight. Let me shift it so that you'll be able to see it. Then you continue. After sewing here like this, then you also sew here. I hope you can see it. You also sew here. Stop here. You will not sew here. Do not sew here now. Do not sew here now. Then you continue and sew. You continue from here and sew it down. So what you do is you sew all around it, including here. What you exclude in the sewing is this up part, these two up parts. So that's what you exclude. So let me go ahead and sew it and show you how it's going to look like. So this is the back panel and I've sewed it. As you can see, I've sewed it round like I told you earlier. I sewed it round and I only left here and here. So what I will do now is to turn it over to the right side. I'm trying to turn it over to the right side. So this is what you have. So this is the right side of the fabric. So the next thing I'll do is to go ahead and use pressing iron, my iron, to press it out, you know, to press it to give it a very nice look. So let me go and do that. I'll use my iron to, you know, press it out. You can see all those places. I'll use my iron to press it. So as you can see, I'm done with the pressing. You can see how beautiful it looks. I'll always advise you when sewing, always try to press any rough edges. You can see how beautiful it looks. So let's continue. So the back panel, this is the back panel. So what I'll go ahead and do is to get my darts, as in to sew my dart. That's both for the front and the back panel. You know, earlier I notched here for me to be able to know where my dart will be. So I'll go ahead and get my dart. And if you've been watching my previous video, remember I told us that for the dart, that's for the front side, I'm going to come up 2 inches above my hip line to get my dart. Even while I was cutting it, I stated it. I'll come up 2 inches above my hip line. That's where this the front dart will be stopping. Then for the back dart, I will sew it. It will stop, and I will sew and it will stop at 1 inch above my hip line. So for the back, the dart will stop 1 inch above my hip line, while for the front panel it will stop 2 inches above my hip line. So let me go to the sewing machine and sew it. And after sewing my dart, I will also, okay, let me go and sew the dart, then I'll show you what next to do. So before I sew the darts, what I want to do is I'll go ahead and this opening here, I'm going to sew it straight. I'll do that for the front panel and the back panel. Then I'll show you how to sew your that. Let me go ahead and sew here straight. So I'm done with here. So if you remember, so for the dart, if you remember, this is where I notched when I was cutting the fabric. Hope you can see it clearly. This is where I notched. So to get my dart, remember I said for the front panel, this is the front panel, that is going to stop 2 inches above the hip line. So I'll take note of my hip line. My hip line is from my waist to my hip, it's 8 inches. Remember we added ½ inch allowance at the waist for sewing, for seam allowance, so it will be 8.5, so that when I eventually take in the ½ inch, which is the sewing seam allowance, I will stop at 8. So since I'm here to take in the ½ inch, that was how I got 8.5. I hope you can see it's clear. That was how I got 8.5. 8.5. And so for the front panel, the dart is going to stop 2 inches above the hip line. So if I'm to subtract 2 inches from 8.5, it will be here. 8.5 minus 2 inches, 6.5. So my dart will start here and end here. My dart will start here and end here. You can go ahead and for you to note. So what you have to do is to take ½ inch from both sides. But to make it easier for you, since we have beginners here on watching my channel, I'm going to show you the easy way to get your dart. After noting here, from here to here, and you have to start here, it's advisable you use your ruler and draw a straight line. Let me do that. So here is the ruler. I'm going to draw a straight line from where I notched here and where my dart will stop here. So I'll draw a straight line. You can see it. I've drawn a straight line. So the next thing to do is to take ½ inch from both sides. ½ inch from both sides. I hope you can see it clear. ½ inch from both sides, which will the half here, half here. And you also use your ruler to connect it to this end here. For professionals, you can just go ahead and take in your dart, but for those learning, just to be on the safer side, you see it, we have half, and then you can go ahead and sew. And also to make it easier for you to get the without making the lining shift or whatsoever, that's if you are still a beginner, to make it so that the lining will not squeeze and the rest, that what you have to do is to sew here first. After sewing it first, stop here, then you go ahead and fold it. Or if you can, if you can easily fold it and get in and take your dart, you can go ahead. But for the sake of the beginners here, I'm going to first of all sew and show you what I mean. I'm going to sew straight on the midpoint and stop here. And stop here. As you can see, I've sewed the middle part. I've sewed the middle part. So the next I will do is to, so if I go ahead and fold, the lining will not easily shift, Had it been I didn't sew here, the lining is, if you are still a learner, you might, your hand is not yet strong, it might shift. So after sewing here now, it's just for me to go ahead and then sew in this half, you see it, and then stop here where I marked earlier. For the midpoint, I stopped here. Then this one, I'll sew it down where I marked earlier. As you can see, you see it. This is where I will stop. So I'll go ahead, fold. Fold it like this. Then make sure that when sewing, you don't sew straight, you sew slant till you get here. Slant till you get here. And make sure you arrange your fabric very well. It should be like this. So I'll go ahead and sew. When sewing, make sure you follow this line. Make sure you follow the slant line you drew earlier. Make it easier for you. Make sure you follow the slant line you drew earlier. Then as you are going, you should be adjusting to make sure that you are following the line accurately. Then, you see? You see, we are done. Then the next is to, when you give it a good press, you see, okay, let me give it a good press and you see how it looks like. You see, we've taken in the 1/2 inch. Make sure you follow the line. Make sure you follow the line and slant. You see it. Make sure you follow the line slant like this. You see, this is one of the easiest methods to get an accurate dart. Let me give it a good press, then you see how it looks like. So I've given it a good press. You can see how it looks like. Perfect. There is no any how will I call it, and the fabric, coming up or looking somehow. You see, it's perfect. This is an easy method to get your dart. So I will go ahead and do that for the others, both on the other side and on the back panel. I'll go ahead and get the darts for the other ones, for the back panel and this other side. So I'm done with all the darts for the skirt. That's the front panel and the back panel. This is the front panel, and you can see how perfect the dart looks. I hope you can see it clearly. This is the dart, but keeping it far off, you see, you will not notice much difference like that. As you can see, you see, I have a perfect dart. Also for the other side, as you can see, I have a perfect that you won't like, there is no clothes lumping around here. You see it, you see it, a perfect that. Please make sure that when sewing, when you start sewing, make sure that you stitch here properly so that it doesn't lose. You stitch here properly, then continue sewing, and when you get towards the end here, you also stitch it tightly here and here so that you know it won't easily lose. You do that for the rest. And also, this is the back panel. I'm done with the dart of the back panel. You can see it, you can see it. This is it. I'm done with it, and the other side too. So that's that. So what I will go ahead and do next is to still on the back panel. So for the zip, I'll go in to be able to pleat the back. So for the back panel, before I'll be able to pleat the back, I'll take in the 2" for the zip. I'll take in the 2" for the zip. I'm trying to arrange it properly. So you see, you see the way I place it. So I'll take in the 2" for the zip and stop somewhere here. So when I stop somewhere here, I'll now go ahead and pleat the back. So let me take in the 2", but since I'm still going to insert my zip, I won't make okay, if I start here, I will measure where my zip will stop. I'll just use a loose stitch to stitch it. I'll use a loose stitch to stitch from here to here, where I'll still have my zip. Then from here I will continue with the normal stitch I'm using, then stop here. Then after putting in sewing the pleats, then I'll go ahead and add my zip. I hope you can see it clearly. And also, when sewing, if you are not yet perfect, it's always advisable for you to mark. Use your chalk to mark. Use your chalk and your tape rule to mark. If you are not yet perfect, it's very, very advisable. So what I'll do is, you know, you mark in 2", 2", you mark it, and then curve it properly. You know, this is not actually straight. You see the way it is. So that's how you are going to curve. That's how you are going to curve. So I've gone ahead to draw it so that you see it. I hope you can see it properly. I'm trying to make it bolder. I've taken the 2". From here is 2". Then remember, when cutting towards the nail, what we marked was ½ inch. So this is ½ inch. Then I connected the 2" from here. Then when I got down here, then the ½ inch. If you watch the video when we are cutting it, when I was cutting the scale, you understand more. You remember that what I marked here was half. So this is half, while the rest was 2. So I'm taking it in. I took 2, then connected it to the half I marked. So I'll go ahead and sew it. I'll go ahead and sew it. You see it, half. So this is the zip I'll be using. It's my personal skirt, so this is the zip I'll be using for it. There are different types of zip in the market. Make sure you use a very good zip for your client, and the one that the color fits the fabric. It's my personal skirt, so this is what I will use for it. This is the available zip I have. So this is where as I said earlier, this is where my zip will stop. So you see here, it's going to stop here after fixing something here. So I marked here. So I will stitch here properly so that it won't lose. I'll make the stitch to be tight here. Then I'll sew down and stop here. And stop here where I have, and stop here. Then here I can decide to use I'll use a loose stitch to sew it here, because I'll still lose it. This will make it easier for you when fixing your zip. Where those where those needle punch, you can easily trace it and sew it on your zip. It all depends. That's for the beginners. But for professionals, you can go ahead and just fix it like that. So that's that. Let me go ahead. I'll keep the zip aside, then sew. So you can see it, and then we are ready to make our pleat. You see it. So let's go ahead and get our pleat. So the next thing is to arrange how you want your pleat to look like. There are different ways to make your pleats. You can actually decide to, hope you can see it clearly, you can actually decide to make it like this, sew it like this. When you sew it like this and turn, you have something like this. After sewing and arranging, you have something like this. That's after sewing. There are just different ways. It's just for you to just manipulate however you want it, whether like this or you keep plating like this. Okay, let me show you another way. Make sure you arrange it clearly. I will go to my table, arrange, and then use my office pin to pin it. I just want to show you how different ways you can do it, like this, or you can also make it like this. Hope you can see it. Take note of the center, that's of the midpoint. This is my midpoint. So, and then whichever way is okay, or you can go ahead and also make it like this. This is the midpoint of my own. I pressed it, so I was able to know the midpoint. It's like this. Then you keep pleating. And when you get to the middle of the side, I hope you can see it clear. When you get to the middle of this side, then you use your office pin to pin it and hold it. That's for this side. Then you come here, you also do the same. Make sure you arrange it properly. You see it. You see it till you get to the midpoint. And then you use your office pin to hold this side. you hold it, you hold it, let me just, you hold it, and then you go ahead and sew whichever way you want to do it. Then after sewing, you have something like this. You have something like this. So let me go ahead and go to my table, arrange it properly, and then sew it. Then I'll show you how it's going to look like. So this is how I arrange mine. You see it? This is how I arrange it. Like you can see it, I'm going to sew here straight. I'm going to sew straight. Then after sewing it, this is how it's going to look like. You can see it. Don't worry, I'll place it on my table later and show you how it looks like. Since it's on the sewing machine table, since on the sewing machine, you won't see it properly, but it's going to look something like this. You see? You see? But close like this. So this is how it's going to look like. So let me go ahead and, you know, sew here. Sew here like this. Sew here like this. So I've stitched it. If you notice, I stitch it several times so that it will be tight. So this is how it looks, and then this is how it looks. So the next I'll do is to insert my zip. Insert my zip. So to fix the zip, I'll put the zip like this. This is how it should be. Then use my office pin and pin it. This will make it easier. This is mostly important for beginners, but if you are already good at it, you can go ahead and sew without using your office pin. So for the beginners, I'm going to show you how to make it easy for you to fix your zip. You know it's supposed to be like this. I hope you can see it. Then I'll just go ahead. Use your office pin and hold it. You see, this way I'll be pinning here. This way I'll sew straight here. And when pinning, I'll make sure it's aligned with this place that I pressed. This place I pressed. So that's the place I will connect it to. So let's go ahead. You see? Make sure it's at that point, this point. This is just for the beginners. So, but if you're already a pro, like I said earlier, you can go ahead and fix without using your office pin. So I'll continue pinning until I get down like this. So after I get here, so when I sew, this is how it's going to look like. This is how it's going to look like. So I'll go ahead and use my pin, office pin, to hold it. So you can see it. You can see it. So I'll go ahead and sew on this line. Sew on this line. As I was saying, you'll be removing the pin. You can see it. You can see it. Then when you give it a good press, it will be very, very smooth.
No, but I'm not with my phone and they do something outside.
So you can see it. So to finish up this up one, I'll just open it like this. Then sew here. So you can see it. You can see it. When we close it, you can see the way it is. So I'll go ahead and do the same for this one, for this side. For this side. I'll make sure that I sew here. Hope your hand is here with this line here. With this line. That's why it's good for you to press to know where exactly you'll be sewing. With this line here. With this line here. So if you can't sew straight, you can still go ahead and use your office pin, you know, to pin it, or you sew straight. Make sure it's pinning here. It's just this line and this line, this pressed line, this pressed line. So let me go ahead and use office pin to pin all here. So I've pinned it. I've pinned it. I'll go ahead and sew. So I'm done with the zip. You can see the way the zip is. I'm done with the zip. So what I'll do is to now join the front panel to the back panel. So after inserting the zip, I went ahead, I joined the front panel to the back panel, arrange it properly, and then take my final measurement. In taking my measurement, I will make sure that the extra inch I have at the left hand side is what I also have at the right hand side. By this I mean after taking my hip measurement and I have an extra of, let's say, 3 inches, I'm going to divide the 3 inches by 2, which will give me 1.5. So I will mark 1.5 at one side and mark 1.5 at the other side. Then go ahead, connect it, and then go to the sewing machine and sew it. So as you can see, I finished sewing the side. So what is left for us now is the waist. So I went ahead and cut the material. The white, this is I gum stay to it, that's the soft one, and the white is 2 inch, while the length is the waist I'm using, which is 30 inch plus extra 4 inches, which is 34. So after sewing it, I will have something like this waist on this my other skirt. So I'll go ahead, fix it. You can see the way I'm fixing it. I will sew on this line. So after sewing it, I will show you what next to do. So I finished sewing the first part. You can see the way I sewed it. I sewed it straight around it. And what I will do is to go ahead and fold it. But before I fold it, I'll cut off the excess of the zip. There, I cut it out. That's the zip. The remaining part of the zip is not more useful. So I'll go ahead and fold it. You can see the way I'm folding it. Then I'll fold it a little bit inside before folding it again, so that it's going to have a fine look. You can see it. Then I'll sew it straight. So that's what I'll do. So I'm done with the sewing. You can see how beautiful it looks. You can see it. Even the inside is looking beautiful and well finished. So you see it. The only thing is that you can go ahead and add hook at that upper side, that place, and here you can add a hook. So our skirt is ready. So the only thing is to also go ahead and give it a good press, a very good press, and you are good to go.